High Covenant community. I'm back with Dr. Tony Jeffrey, continuing our series of conversations about all things covenant, and just giving him an opportunity to introduce himself to our community and to share his thoughts on some of the important values and important identity or characteristics of covenant. Tony, this is an exciting week. We are having our graduation this evening, live and in person on the football field, something that just a few weeks ago we didn't think was going to be possible. So we're thankful for God's blessing on that. It looks like the weather is going to hold, and so we can do this thing outside. This is a really great way to end the year in an unexpectedly joyful fashion.
Well, congratulations to those parents that have older children that are graduating, and I know everybody will be thrilled just to have the chance to see each other and connect. So I'll be praying for a good ceremony tonight.
Great, thank you. And it makes me think, of course, about where these kids are going when they leave Covenant. I was looking over the list of colleges that they have selected to attend this year. It's a really diverse list, but every one of these students is headed for a 4-year degree. That's their trajectory. And so as I was thinking about that, of course, it reminds me of Covenant's, brand identity, if you will. We promote ourselves as being Christian, as being classical, as being college preparatory. Sometimes I think those three things, Christian, college prep, or classical, college preparatory, sometimes they can feel like they're in conflict with one another, or there are tensions that are difficult to manage. And I kind of wanted to ask you a couple questions along those lines. And the first one is, and I think you and I think similarly on this, and that's why I'm framing the question this way, is why should, and I mean, why should, not why might, but why should a Christian school in today's day and age be a college preparatory school, do you think?
Well, Chuck, that's a good question. And first, I think I would say that there are some Christian schools in the country that are not college preparatory. That would not be a part of their mission. And the school that I'm working in right now would not use those terms, and that would not be their sole mission. So there are some Christian schools that have chosen not to go that route. If for those children that want to go to college, they're happy if they do, but that's certainly not what is at the heart of their mission. But at Covenant, college preparatory is certainly at the heart of the mission, and it's at the heart of the mission of most Christian and classical schools in America. The reason I feel strongly that the college prep focus and mission is at the heart of the school is because when we look at who we serve at Covenant, we're serving primarily college educated parents. Many of them have prestigious graduate degrees as well. Many of them come from professional backgrounds, and they're families that are looking for an excellent education. They desire not only to prepare their children, not only that they don't just want their children to be educated, but they want their children to be given a high quality, challenging, rigorous education that's going to prepare them ideally for selective colleges, not just for the community colleges, but for selective colleges. Therefore, I've spent all of my career in working in this area and believe in it with my whole heart that the college prep focus and the curriculum is really at the heart of what a Christian school or a classical Christian school should be about. It's what our families I don't like to use the word customers, but they are our customers. It's what our parents want, and it's primarily what they're paying for. If we fail in our ability to help our children be academically well prepared for college, and we fail at their ability to get into good colleges and to get scholarships, and have those kinds of opportunities, then we're not a very good Christian school.
How does being a classical school enhance our college preparatory mission, do you think?
Uh, it 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 um, it greatly enhances it. There are many fine private schools, as we know, Chuck, and as secular private schools that prepare students for college, and they do an excellent job at it. But a classical Christian education, I believe, and I know you believe, is a far superior model because we have truth, and they're looking for truth. They're trying to find it. They're hoping maybe they have it, or they don't even consider that truth is relevant. Truth is what truth is, depends on where you're coming from, your perspective. But in a classical Christian school, we're not only preparing children well for college, but we have a model that represents truth. And I believe it's Andrew Kern, that Andrew Kern quote that says, the primary purpose of a classical Christian education is to cultivate in the life of its students wisdom and virtue. And that is what the secular private college prep school cannot do like we can. We are cultivating in the life of our students wisdom and virtue, the ability to know what God says, to think like Him, to know truth, and to be able to live lives of truth, along with live lives of godly character. And he says that we do that, we help students have wisdom and virtue by surrounding them with a curriculum that's based on things that represent truth and beauty and goodness. And that's on the logo of the school. And I'm excited about that because I think that totally separates us from other very fine schools that are doing a great job just to get the kids into college. And so we have a very limited amount of time with these kids. As the parents tonight are going to go back and go, where did the time go? I can't believe they're already through school. We have a limited time, and therefore we want to choose a classical curriculum because it represents the very best that man has ever produced or thought. It's filled with enduring truths and foundational principles of Western civilization and democracy. And in the classical teaching approach, we've given kids tools, not just to learn information, but they have a toolbox full of tools that allows them to learn for a lifetime and to love learning. And so that's the classical approach. And when it's combined with a Christian education, it's just, to me, it's a far superior model.
If you're sending a kid to college who really knows what it is to learn and knows what it is to work hard and toward academic accomplishment, toward what you're talking about too, the pursuit of truth and goodness and beauty, they do have an advantage, don't they?
Yes, they do. They've learned to work hard. And I have a son that teaches at a major Texas university, and I would say, I think he would tell you, teaches English, that 80% of his students are kind of brain dead. They're products of the public school. They haven't read anything. They don't like to read. They haven't read. They don't like to write. They write poorly. They don't want to talk in class. I mean, it's really sad to see what the school system has done to socially promote these kids through school. So that is in stark contrast to what happens in a classical Christian school.
I want to touch on the tension that I alluded to, or one element of the tension that sometimes we feel, that I alluded to at the beginning of this conversation. Sometimes there is a tension between a classical ideal of learning for learning's sake, right? Learning for the sake of no other reward than the joy of learning or the achievement itself, and practical considerations of GPAs and test scores that are necessary to the college admissions environment and the goals that you were talking about that parents have for their kids and that a school like Covenant has for our students. It's easy for those things to feel for there to feel tension between them, and even for them to sometimes come into conflict with one another, at least philosophically. How do you manage that tension in your own thinking, but also in the schools that you served and as you anticipate coming into Covenant?
To me, it's kind of analogous to ideally we want to find a career that we feel called to. We want to find a career where we just have great joy in going to work every day, and we're serving others, we're serving the Lord. That's we have this meaningful work that we ideally should love to do and want to do every day. But then the reality is we have to pay all the bills. We got mortgages and debt and groceries and everything else we have to do. That's the reality that we have to live with in the midst of our desire to just go to work because it's so purposeful. And so
Yeah.
I think we have to, as educators, keep that in mind that both of these are realities, and that we need to remember that preparing kids for college is our job. That is why the parents are paying a lot of money to come to Covenant Christian Academy, because they want their children to be extremely well educated so that they can be successful in their college life. That's why they come. Now they've chosen Covenant versus other schools because they want that education to take place in a Christian and classical atmosphere. And that's really the privilege that we have, that they've chosen us and our curriculum and our Christian beliefs, so that we get to have the fun and the joy of teaching in that environment. So it's a privilege that we have to not only prepare them for college, to make sure that they have the academic disciplines and training to be accepted to a selective college, to be able to thrive in that college and to go on to be successful in life. But we get, more importantly, to do that in an environment where we're getting to shape their moral and their spiritual lives, not just for college, but for life. And we do that through the classical Christian curriculum that will serve them not just to get into college and to be successful, but it'll serve them for years to come in the things that are most important, and that's their relationships with their spouse and their employers and their kids. And we get to shape their character. We get to help them be thinkers and to be able to live in this world and think critically about all of the different things that are coming at them all the time. And we get to help shape their spiritual lives to help them be faithful. So that's, the tension is there, but I say it's a great tension, because we get to do two things at the same time.
A friend of mine was the head of Wheaton Academy near Chicago for a number of years. And his standard line on things like this was, we don't do and or, we do and. And so we get to do two really cool things that often feel a little bit incompatible. We get to do them together. And I love that analogy of, you love to have a job, but you love to go to work, but you still got to make a living. And
that's right.
And there's an element of every job, right, that you have to be paid to do, because the whole job isn't fun.
That's right.
Job can't be joyful all the time.
And the kids, and I do think the school can do a good job of monitoring to make sure that the kids' homework is appropriate and it's balanced, and that it's not excessive, and that they have time to to function as a family, especially on holidays and things like that. But their primary job is to be a student, and that's their job during this time of their life. And being a student and working hard and being diligent is a good thing, and it will serve them well in life. And those habits are developed down in the grammar school from pre-K on, and that's the job of a student. And it will bless them in the future if they're willing to work hard as when they're in high school.
Yeah. Yes. Well, it was great to see you, not just today, this way by Zoom, but it was great to see you Wednesday at our board meeting, live and in person. First time I've been a live meeting for, I don't know, 8, 10 weeks or something like that. So thanks for joining me again, and look forward to touching base next week and picking up on our next topic.
Okay, thank you, Chuck, and thank you, parents. Have a good weekend. Bye.
See you, Tony.